if you've always felt like you were just passing through this life, if you've looked at your family and felt like a stranger trapped in someone else's story, if people have called you distant, difficult, or too much, but never once asked what you were carrying, if you've spent nights crying for something you couldn't name, and days pretending to care about a world that never made sense to you, it's not because something is wrong with you, it's because you remember what it means to truly love. You remember a silence that doesn't exist here. You remember that you are not here to build a life, but to finish one. You are the soul who no longer needs to prove, to chase, to conquer, not to belong, but to bless this world one last time before you leave it. So if you've always felt like Earth was just the last chapter in a book you're ready to close, and soon you will return to where the noise ends, where the love never leaves, and where someone has been waiting lifetimes to finally welcome you home. There comes a time in the long and winding journey of a soul when Earth, in all its complexity and beauty, no longer holds the same pull it once did. This moment is not a single flash of enlightenment, nor is it a decision the ego makes. It is the quiet culmination of hundreds, sometimes thousands of incarnations, lives lived through pain and joy, chaos and peace, loss and love. When a soul reaches what ancient mystics have called soul exhaustion, it is not tired in the human sense, it is complete. It has experienced the entire emotional spectrum Earth can offer, and it no longer requires contrast to evolve. This state, though often misunderstood, is not a form of burnout. It is transcendence. The concept of soul exhaustion appears in many traditions, though it is rarely named directly. In certain Gnostic writings, it is described as the soul having drunk fully of the cup of flesh. In Vedic philosophy, particularly in the teachings surrounding moksha, the soul that has completed its earth journey is said to have broken free of samsara, the wheel of rebirth. These teachings point to a state of inner liberation, not necessarily from life itself, but from the need to return to life in a limited earthbound form. From a psychological point of view, the signs of this soul exhaustion can appear as a deep, unshakable detachment, not apathy, but clarity. Individuals in this state may feel a subtle but powerful awareness that they are merely passing through. They often do not seek power, fame, or even comfort. Instead, they are moved by a quiet compassion and a mysterious sense of completion. Carl Jung might describe this state as the final phase of individuation, the integration of all aspects of the self into a unified whole. When a person has faced their shadow, transcended their ego, and embraced their full human and divine nature, they reach a kind of inner ripeness. There is nothing more to become. There is only being. These individuals might not identify as spiritual in the conventional sense. They may not chant mantras, attend rituals, or wear the clothing of mystics. Yet they move through the world with a calmness that cannot be explained by temperament alone. Often, they are naturally forgiving, not because they condone harm, but because they see the futility in carrying the weight of revenge or blame. They carry what the Buddhists call equanimity, and they radiate the energy of someone who is no longer trying to win at the game of life. This doesn't mean they have stopped living, it means they have stopped resisting. The soul that is completing its final earth life often experiences a paradoxical loneliness. This loneliness is not rooted in lack of connection, but in a kind of spiritual homesickness. The earth no longer feels like home, and neither does any group or system within it. The soul remembers on some deep level that it has come from somewhere far beyond this world. It may not have conscious memory of the place, but it recognizes that Earth is not the origin, only a station. This longing is not depressive, it is a longing for reintegration with the larger soul family, or the source consciousness it once emerged from. At this stage, karma becomes neutralized. The soul does not attract intense karmic situations anymore, not because it has become invincible, but because it no longer emits the energetic charge that creates those echoes. It has learned all the lessons Earth can offer: poverty and wealth, sickness and health, betrayal and loyalty, war and peace, despair and ecstasy. When the soul fully internalizes these polarities, it ceases to create new imbalances. Life becomes quieter, not because it is boring, but because it is balanced. Interestingly, many such individuals do not speak much about their spiritual completion. They are not drawn to spiritual superiority or evangelism. In fact, they may feel weary of spiritual performance altogether. They are not interested in being enlightened as a title or image. They are simply being themselves in the most raw and honest way possible. If they teach, they do so gently. If they serve, they do so quietly. If they lead, it is only by example. The soul in its final incarnation may still experience pain, but there is a difference. The pain no longer breaks them, it humbles them. Suffering is no longer seen as punishment or injustice. It is viewed as part of a sacred rhythm that no longer needs to be resisted. They no longer ask, "Why is this happening to me?" Instead, they ask, "What does this reveal that still needs to be loved?" What distinguishes the soul who is nearly finished with earth from one still bound to its cycles is not intelligence, success, or perfection. It is the absence of internal resistance. There is no longer a need to fix the self or the world. There is only a quiet participation in life, like a guest at a banquet who has tasted every dish and now sits back, full and grateful, ready to thank the host before leaving. But what happens when the soul no longer has anything to resolve? When no more karmic echoes call it back? This is where the soul contract expires, not in loss or failure, but in fulfillment. Just like a student who completes their final exam and walks out of the classroom, the soul leaves the earth plane behind. It is not a rejection of earth, but a graduation from it. Philosophically, this truth shakes the foundations of many belief systems. Religions that depend on fear of reincarnation or eternal return use the concept as a control mechanism. But true spiritual maturity reveals that the soul is not bound to any cycle forever. The wheel of karma is powered by unfinished energy, by attachments, grudges, unlearned lessons, and suppressed truths. When those energies are cleared, the wheel slows. When nothing pulls the soul back, the wheel stops. What remains is silence, freedom, presence. Now we go through 12 different signs of some souls experiencing their last life. These signs are not rules, but patterns observed across mystic lineages and deep spiritual psychology. If you resonate with them, it is a mirror, a reflection of a possibility already known deep within you. Existential boredom is the first sign. You may find yourself profoundly uninterested in things that once fascinated you: drama, achievement, even spiritual systems. This isn't apathy. It's a quiet knowing that you've tasted all the flavors of earth. The game has been played. Time may no longer feel linear. You sense connections between events years apart. You understand things before they happen. You feel deep down that everything is happening all at once. You feel love for others, but it's not needy or emotional, it's unconditional. You can witness someone suffering and still remain centered, not because you don't care, but because you see their soul's path. A genuine sign is natural forgiveness. You find yourself forgiving people without effort. Resentment feels heavy, foreign. You no longer want to carry it because you intuitively know that judgment only recycles pain. Loss of identity attachment is one of the obvious signs. Titles, labels, and personal narratives begin to fall away. You no longer define yourself by your past, your job, or even your name. You just are. Crowds may feel overwhelming. Noise becomes disorienting. You feel most yourself in stillness, in nature, or in solitude. Silence isn't empty to you, it's sacred. A scary sign is your ability to remembering other worlds. There is a subtle homesickness in your soul, a longing for a place you've never seen in this body. You dream of light cities, of non-physical realms, of stars that speak. It feels like memory, not imagination. Another big sign is rapid synchronicity. Time bends around you. Clocks repeat numbers. People arrive just as you think of them. Books fall off shelves with messages you needed. The universe begins speaking louder, as if trying to say goodbye in small, elegant ways. Emotional minimalism becomes your thing. You no longer need a constant flood of stimulation. You don't crave highs or chase healing. You want realness, quiet presence, and the softness of a calm heart. Deep discernment occurs, which means you sense hidden motives instantly. You no longer chase gurus or teachings that demand your allegiance. You are your own authority, and you respect others' journeys without trying to fix them. Gentle loneliness is also one of the signs you feel separate but not in pain. It's a holy loneliness, a quiet awareness that your soul has begun to unhook from earth. You can love deeply, yet still feel like a visitor in this world. The signs is your readiness for death without fear. You no longer fear death as an end. You see it as a return, a homecoming. This doesn't make you reckless. It makes you wise, peaceful, and inwardly free. It is not uncommon for spiritual teachers, those who have reached inner completion, to return to Earth one final time, not for their own evolution, but in pure service. This incarnation is rarely loud. They do not always wear robes or speak on stages. Sometimes they are hospice nurses, street musicians, or a stranger who comforts you without reason. Their lives are acts of love lived quietly. These souls have nothing left to prove. They are not building followings or seeking recognition. Their final incarnation is lived in the background, where the light shines most honestly. They do not perform spirituality. They simply are, present, kind, grounded, and gently radiant. These last lifers often choose simplicity. They avoid complexity and drama, not out of avoidance, but because peace has become their natural frequency. Their service may be silent, but it changes the world in unseen ways. There is a very specific kind of loneliness experienced by those in their last incarnation. It is not caused by lack of love or connection. It is caused by dim memory, a spiritual amnesia that is only now fading. These souls remember fragments of other lifetimes, other realms, other stars. They are often drawn to metaphysics, ancient symbols, languages they have never studied but somehow understand. This loneliness is sacred. It is the soul whispering to itself, "You are almost home." But because they often cannot speak this language to others without being misunderstood, they carry it alone, like a secret flame. To deeply feel, even without proof, that you will not return to Earth can create a profound shift in your psychology. Every relationship becomes precious. Every experience feels like a last embrace. There is a deep appreciation, but also a strange neutrality. You no longer panic when plans fail or people leave. You stop arguing with life. This knowledge can also bring grief. There is beauty here that you will miss. There is sadness in saying goodbye to colors, seasons, textures of this world, but underneath that sadness is peace, a calm recognition that the cycle is complete. You came, you lived, you learned, and now you are free. In the final incarnation, the veil between dimensions becomes thinner. Synchronicity, the mysterious alignment of external events with internal truths, begins to accelerate. It is as if the universe wants to affirm the soul's knowing. You are on the edge of return. Doors open at the right time. Books, symbols, names from past lives appear in dreams or daily life. Chance encounters feel scripted. These are not mere coincidences. They are love notes from the cosmos, confirmations that the soul is being guided gently to the gate. Synchronicity also increases because the soul's frequency becomes coherent. When there is no more resistance, no more egoic seeking, the universe responds instantly to presence. Time bends, and life becomes less about effort, more about alignment. After leaving Earth, the soul enters a state of clarity, the life review, which is not a judgment, but a personal process of re-experiencing every action and its ripple effect on others. This is a moment of liberation, where fragmented parts of the self are reintegrated into full consciousness. Once this is complete, the soul ascends, not through space but in frequency, shedding the density of human emotion and desire. It moves into the soul realms or planes of light, vast, luminous dimensions organized by resonance. The soul goes where it matches, not where it deserves. The causal plane is a realm of pure understanding where souls exist as fields of light, learning and communing through vibration. Time is fluid and communication is telepathic, rooted in soul-to-soul knowing. Beyond this lie subtler realms, the atomic and monadic realms, domains of divine purpose and unity. In these planes, souls merge with their higher selves, becoming active participants in the cosmic dance of consciousness. This is not dissolution, but a return to a state where uniqueness is understood in a cosmic context. Earthly lives become like chapters in an eternal novel, remembered but no longer clung to. You are not your past, you are what remains after it. What of relationships? In the soul realms, soul groups reunite. The roles played on Earth, family, friends, enemies, no longer divide you. There is only recognition, forgiveness, and love. Souls understand their shared journey and reunite in radiant communion. Some souls, even after leaving Earth, choose to guide others. They become luminous beings, not as ghosts, but as protectors and inspirers, gently nudging the living toward awakening. Beyond this, some souls merge into realms beyond form, what ancient texts call the source field or the ocean of being. Here there is no separation, only peace, joy, and infinite presence. Souls are no longer individuals, but part of the all, a flame in the infinite fire. Where do souls go after their final earthly life? They go home, not to a place, but to a state of pure being. There is no more searching, no more pain, only the realm of truth. And once there, they do not ask, what happens next? They simply are, and it is enough.